Today we're talking about stage 3. So quick recap in sexuality. Stage 1, forced monogamy. This is where most people live and die. Again, this channel is made mostly for men. So specifically speaking to men. Stage 2, the playboy phase, the experimental phase where you go off, have fun, do your thing. It can be a very necessary stage for men. Men don't all need to go through it, but a lot of us, myself included, definitely needed to go through it. This brings us to stage 3, the integrated phase. A phase that has a different level of consciousness to your relationship dynamic, to your sexuality. So what does that mean? You could be single and you could be in this phase. And that would show up in viewing and holding your sexual energy as something valuable, something sacred, something important, not something to just waste on the bed sheets when you're alone on a Friday night with porn, things like that. This shows up as a different level of embodiment of who you are as a man. Where do your balls meet your heart, and how are you using that? How this could show up in a relationship. It could be a polyamorous relationship. I'll touch on that. I'm not terribly sold on polyamory. I've done the open relationships in polyamory and monogamy, and I think polyamory stuff has generally more issues and more messed up stuff from what I personally experienced and what I've seen most relationships. I do think there's some exceptions. Or this could be a conscious monogamy, an intentional monogamy where you're actually choosing your partner. And this is a little different. If you're single, you're going, okay, I've went out, I had these relationships where I felt trapped. Then I was kind of just running around the streets, right? And then I knew I wanted to create something different. I knew I wanted to really go deep. I knew there's this power in my heart, even though maybe I don't totally understand it. And also, I want my body to be wildly satisfied. Because to me, my take on it and what I've seen, if you have some beautiful connection and a lot of love, and you feel like you have to leave your body at the door, like you have to choose between love and sex, that ain't gonna work. If someone has a great relationship and they tell you they have a terrible sex life, I mean, that would be like a guy who goes to the gym all the time, great relationship. However, he doesn't at all focus on what he eats or his macros, sex life. So these two intertwined. If you're a single guy, knowing that this energy inside of you is something important, that may show up and going, you know what, I'm not looking at porn anymore, or I'm reducing it, or I'm doing, is it tomorrow? No, 2 days is November 1st. I'm doing no fap. I'm not gonna masturbate for a month and see what that does to my energy levels, to my body. Knowing that there's something important inside of you, and even if you haven't believed too much in the sacred stuff up until now, or that there's this just power inside of you, that you can feel this power, like you want to hit a goal, you're doing something in business, you go, you know what, I read this stuff, different people say this and that, I'm going to do this. So getting more into the relationship dynamic of this is where I believe about 1% of relationships choose, keyword choose, to live in. Meaning that most people stay in that first phase of forced monogamy of, well, I want kids, I want a relationship, I got to just kind of go with society or religion's rules. And that feels incredibly constrictive, especially to a being, a guy, that is driven in so many ways by freedom. Again, what's the other extreme? You go and you have a breakup, you get divorced, and you go, I'm just going to do whatever I want and have fun. And whether you tell the girls the truth or not, which you ought to, otherwise it's super dishonest. A lot negativity, a lot of bullshit comes with that for you, whether you're aware of it or not. But then you go through the playboy phase. I just sat down with someone yesterday talking about, and you know what, I use weed to numb out. Again, fill in the blank. It could be weed, alcohol, pills, whatever. And I have this sex, or I'm seeing all these women, and it ends up being incredibly unfulfilling. It's fun. It gets less fun with time. So when you went through these two other stages, which if you're watching this 5 minutes in, it probably was necessary for you, you just realize that the first phase is constrictive. There's not freedom in that. The second phase, it's the illusion of freedom that, as I was sitting down with this guy yesterday, you end up being trapped in your desires. You have like Peter Pan syndrome or 15-year-old boy syndrome. And it gets you to hopefully this place of like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? I gotta do something different, or is there a better way? The challenging thing about this for guys is there's not a lot of references. This can be one of the hardest things actually. So to start surrounding yourself with different people, there's not a lot of references that this third stage that anyone really hasn't. Or you find some Tantra teacher, but then you find out he's a creep, because a lot of them are. Do I think Tantra people are creepy? No. I've just seen too many weird things for too many years of being at some Tantra event and some skinny vegan guy telling me I need to open my relationship and let other guys have sex with my girlfriend, or some stupidity like that. Or a guy who has a Tantra school and he has the magical penis that can heal people. These are real fucking stories. I'm not making up. And just goofy shit where it's actually disgusting, because as a man, it's being a weak dickless pussy and abusing your power when you're trusted in something like that in sexuality. Not you, of course, but other guys, and they're abusing that. So probably one of the most important things is to find other guys that are on this path. I live in a weird setup. I live in Medellin, Colombia, a city that's filled with sex and drugs. And all my friends are into, well, not every single thing, but most of them, biohacking, semen retention, Tantra, ayahuasca. They have coaches, personal development, going to the gym. So I'm very blessed that that's just the only people I really surround myself with. And if I'm around other people that are on a different path, I just don't really care to listen to much of what they have to say, because it's a waste of my time and my energy, giving much time or energy, or listening to someone that wants to go out and get laid, which is great if that's where you're at in life. I've been there. It's just, the Peter Pan syndrome gets old. So how do you get to this stage, and why? You get to this stage out of curiosity, out of desire. I think there's something more, that something in your body, something in your heart, something in your balls knows there's a better way. There's a better sex life than what we've seen our family live. There's also way better than what we've seen Hugh Hefner and Dan Blazarian live. If you read, I invite you to read it. Dan Blazarian's book that came out, I don't know, a few years ago. I actually read it cover to cover. He says it in not so many words, but how unfulfilling his life is. Yes, I said that. How unfulfilling his life is as the biggest playboy on planet Earth. I actually have a crazy theory. It's not that crazy. If Dan Blazarian had a family and was monogamous, he could probably become one of the most profound spiritual teachers in the world, because he's went through the whole thing. But you look at people like that and you go, that must be really fun. It is for a while. As you mature, as you age, I think testosterone leveling out, if you're 20, you can be too much hormonally drugged. You realize that there's something more to you as a man, that you have a heart, that it's not just an organ, that it's an energy center, that it's a power that lives in the middle of your chest. And you have times where you feel something different for different women. Maybe you can't intellectualize it, and that's the point. Feelings aren't always able to be intellectualized. That's what makes them feelings. And there's a deeper calling in you that knows there's something more, especially if you've had a lot of great sex, and then you've had great connections, and sometimes maybe you haven't had both of those together. The paradox, what's very unique about sex, what so many people don't understand, and relationships, is it should get significantly better with time. However, we look at our parents, our aunts and uncles, our grandparents, and oftentimes you can see two people that have been together 40 years and they kind of resent each other, and there's like cute jokes. So their relationship has actually degraded over time, their sex life. And you go, well, they're that old. You can have great sex till way older. And guess what? With hormone replacement therapy when you're old enough, not when you're 25, with peptides, with biohacking, with detoxes, the sky is going to be the limit in terms of great sex and great relationships. This phase requires a deeper level of devotion and commitment to who you are and the partnership you want to create. If you're single right now, the best way to start this phase, to kind of jump in the pool or at least put your feet in the water, cut out porn, go celibate. That can mean different things to you. You can just go, all right, I'm not going to have sex. I'm still going to look at porn. That can be an enormous upgrade for many guys. Or go, you know what? I'm not going to look at porn. I'm not going to text my ex. I'm going to have Opal on my phone so I can block stuff that I used to look at, and take time for you. When you start to feel this energy, start to work with this energy, there's something so profound to it. And that's the way you can begin that third stage into something conscious. And my invitation and my challenge to you is, most guys don't have the courage and the balls to do it. They will get stuck in a comfortable relationship, or they would go through the next girl on Tinder, the next porn thing, the whatever. And both those, in my opinion, having lived them both, are deeply, deeply fulfilling. So, question to you before I wrap up: do you have the balls to go deeper into your own sexuality? To know that there's something much, 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 much deeper. And if you're in a relationship and you're doing that, to know that can stack for years and decades and get better and better and better. You got to know the right people and know the right couples to search for it, to find out that it actually exists. If we look at friends and family, we're generally going to get disappointed. And a lot of the times, we need some new friends. Thanks for tuning in, gents. See you soon. Phil.